In life, emotions rise like waves. One moment, you feel peace. The next, chaos, anger, jealousy, attachment, fear. They come in uninvited, yet they settle deep. But what if I told you, do not have to become their prisoner? You do not need to kill your heart to find peace. You can become emotionless without becoming heartless. Feel everything, but choose your response. This is the foundation of true emotional discipline. Emotions are not the enemy. They are messengers. They arrive to show us something about our environment, our boundaries, our attachments, and our fears. The problem begins when we lose the space between stimulus and response. When something happens, someone speaks harshly, circumstances turn against us, something is taken or broken or ends, and we immediately react, often without understanding the full picture. This is where most suffering is born. Not from the emotion itself, but from the unconscious reaction that follows. To feel is human, but to respond with intention is strength. When you feel sadness, it does not mean you are weak. It means your heart is alive. When you feel anger, it may mean a boundary has been crossed. When you feel jealousy, it could point to your unfulfilled desires or insecurities. When you feel joy, it reflects alignment. Each feeling is a signal, but it is not the full truth. A feeling is not a command. It is not an order that must be obeyed. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to observe. You are allowed to hold the emotion in your hand like a stone. Examine it, feel its texture, understand where it came from, and then decide what to do with it. Choosing your response means stepping out of automatic patterns. Most people live in cycles. Something upsets them, they lash out. Something scares them, they shut down. Something pleases them, they cling too tightly. These patterns are not fate. They are habits built over years of unawareness. But the moment you become aware, the cycle is no longer in control. You are. You can train yourself to feel anger and not let it explode. You can experience fear and still walk forward. You can be disappointed and still speak with grace. This is the power of conscious living. This is the power of choice. There is no need to suppress what you feel. Suppression is like trying to seal a volcano. Eventually, the pressure finds a way out, often in destructive form. Instead, feel everything fully. Let the emotion come. Let it speak. But do not let it hijack your behavior. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Ask it questions. What are you here to show me? What truth lies behind this reaction? What story am I telling myself that is feeding you? Often, you will find that the emotion is based not on the present moment, but on something unresolved from the past. Or it is amplified by fear, expectation, or comparison. The deeper you inquire, the more clarity you gain. Response is a product of space. Space is born from awareness. When you notice your emotion rising, take a breath. One deep breath is enough to interrupt a reaction. 2 are better. 3, and your mind begins to clear. This breath becomes the bridge between emotion and wisdom, between instinct and insight, between chaos and calm, and in that space you are free. Free to choose a response aligned with your values, your vision, your truth. Not a reflex, not a reaction, but a decision. This is not easy. It requires practice. Just like physical strength is built through consistent training, emotional strength is built through consistent awareness. Every moment becomes an opportunity. Every challenge becomes a test. And slowly, your emotional reactions begin to dissolve. Not because you feel less, but because you understand more. You stop fighting your feelings. You stop fearing them. You stop obeying them. You begin to lead them. You begin to use them as signals, to guide, not to control. Observe emotions without becoming them. This is the art of inner distance, the subtle skill of witnessing what rises within you without allowing it to define you. Emotions, like clouds, drift in and out of your mind. Sometimes they are heavy and dark, filled with storm and noise. Sometimes they are light and passing. But regardless of their intensity, they are not you. They are movements within you. They are experiences happening in the body and the mind. not permanent parts of your identity. The mistake begins when we start saying, I am angry, instead of, I feel anger. That small shift in language reveals a powerful truth. You are not the anger. You are the one observing the anger. To observe is to create space. And in space there is power. When you observe your emotions, you are no longer controlled by them. You do not become their slave. You become their witness. And from this position, you can learn, you can understand, you can even allow the emotion to pass without interference. You realize that just because something is felt does not mean it must be acted upon. Just because something is loud does not mean it is wise. Many emotions come from wounds, memories, traumas, unmet expectations, and distorted perceptions. They may be valid signals, but they are not always accurate guides. That is why observation is so important. Without it, we react blindly. With it, we choose wisely. This observation is not cold. It is not detachment in the sense of being numb. It is a grounded presence. It is the ability to be fully with what is happening inside you without drowning in it. Like sitting at the edge of a river and watching the current flow. You see the emotion come, you feel it, you acknowledge it, but you do not jump into the river and let it carry you away. You remain on the bank, grounded, aware. This is what allows you to keep your center, even in storms, even in pressure, even in heartbreak. You are not denying the emotion, you are not suppressing it. You are simply refusing to become it. Becoming the emotion means losing perspective. It means speaking words you don't mean, making decisions you regret, hurting people you love, becoming a version of yourself that does not reflect your truth. That is the cost of being unconscious. And yet most people live like this every day, in a loop of feeling and reacting, pulled like puppets by whatever emotion dominates the moment. But you are not a puppet. You are not the feeling. You are the awareness behind the feeling. You are the silent watcher, the steady flame that burns beneath the waves. To cultivate this state of observation, begin with breath. Whenever an emotion arises, especially the strong ones like rage, fear, envy, or sorrow, bring your attention to your breath. Inhale slowly, exhale even slower. Name the emotion silently. This is fear. This is grief. This is irritation. Just by naming it, you create space. You place it outside yourself, even slightly. You can now watch it instead of being consumed by it. Ask yourself, where is this coming from? What triggered it? What belief or memory is attached to it? The answers may not come immediately, but the observation itself is enough. It transforms the emotion from a controller into a signal. This practice, done consistently, rewires your mind. You become calmer, clearer, less impulsive. You develop a deeper connection with yourself, not based on emotion, but on awareness. You begin to see patterns. You begin to break cycles. And more than anything, you begin to trust yourself. Because you know you are not at the mercy of every internal storm. You know you can feel without falling. You can carry emotion without being carried away by it. This is where true emotional mastery begins. In observation, in the stillness behind the movement, in the awareness that watches, without judgment, without fear, without attachment. Stillness is not weakness, it is mastery. In a world that worships speed, noise, and constant movement, stillness is often misunderstood. People equate stillness with passivity, with hesitation, with doing nothing. But stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of full awareness before action. It is the calm before the precise strike. It is the silence that precedes clarity. It is the space where understanding deepens, decisions sharpen, and energy aligns. Stillness is not what you fall into when you are lost. It is what you rise into when you are centered. And the ability to remain still, internally, emotionally, mentally, in moments of pressure, chaos, or provocation, is a sign of great strength. Stillness is not about sitting in meditation while the world burns around you. It is about maintaining your inner center while walking through fire. It is about being surrounded by noise and remaining unaffected. It is about hearing your emotions scream inside you and not letting them control your tongue, your hands, or your direction. When others panic, stillness holds vision. When others rush, stillness waits for the right moment. When others explode, stillness absorbs and reflects. It does not retaliate. It does not fall into the trap of reaction. It chooses with wisdom. The one who can remain still in times of crisis is the one who leads. Because he does not become the crisis, he sees beyond it. He understands the rhythm of life, the cycles of emotion, the illusions that cloud perception. He knows that not everything requires a response. Not every invitation to conflict must be accepted. He lets others spend their energy in chaos, while he protects his for when it is truly needed. This is mastery. To respond only when it is time. To move only when the path is clear. To speak only when the words carry weight. Stillness is not the absence of feeling. It is the discipline of holding space for your feelings without letting them dictate your moves. It is the deep breath before answering a provocation. It is the pause before making a life-altering decision. It is the moment of quiet in which the truth reveals itself. In stillness, illusions fade. Noise clears. What is false falls away, and what is real remains. It is in this state that the wisest choices are made, not from panic, not from pride, not from pain. Most people confuse business with importance. They think constant action means progress. But if the direction is wrong, more speed only leads to disaster faster. Stillness recalibrates. It realigns you with your values, your center, your purpose. It brings you back to the present moment, where all power resides. The present is where life unfolds, not in regret of the past or anxiety about the future. And only in stillness can you truly access the present fully. It does not mean you stop moving. It means your movement is intentional. It means your energy is precise. It means your mind is not running after every distraction, every conflict, every temptation to defend or attack. Stillness is not withdrawal. It is not weakness. It is strength so grounded, it does not need to prove itself. It does not need to be loud. It does not need validation. Stillness does not seek approval, because it already knows its place. And from that place, every word is thoughtful. Every step is measured. Every action is aligned with something deeper than impulse or ego. The strongest presence in the room is often the one who speaks the least, reacts the least, and yet sees the most. That presence comes from stillness. To cultivate stillness, one must first become aware of the inner noise. The voice of insecurity, the urge to control, the habit of reacting, the fear of silence. Observe these forces. Do not fight them. Watch them like passing clouds. The more you watch, the less power they have. Stillness will emerge in the space they leave behind. It will not come through force, but through surrender. It is not found by doing more, but by doing less with more awareness. It grows in silence, in breath, in waiting without tension. And once it takes root, it becomes unshakable. Emotional control begins with awareness, not suppression. The moment you feel something uncomfortable, the instinct for many is to push it away, bury it, ignore it, or pretend it doesn't exist. This habit is deeply rooted in fear. Fear that the emotion will overwhelm you, expose you, or make you vulnerable. But suppression is not strength. It is avoidance. And what is avoided does not disappear. It hides in the shadows of your being, waiting for a trigger to resurface. Often in ways more intense and less manageable than before. True emotional control is not about building a wall around your heart. It is about walking into the emotion, standing in its presence, and understanding its source without letting it possess your mind or behavior. Awareness is what transforms emotion from a master into a messenger. The moment you become aware of what you are feeling, you introduce a layer of consciousness that gives you the power to choose. Before awareness, emotion acts like a storm. Sudden, consuming, blinding. But with awareness, you become the sky in which the storm happens. You witness without being swept away. You feel the intensity, but you are not trapped in it. This witnessing presence is not something distant or cold. It is deeply compassionate. It says, I see this anger. I see this pain. I see this fear. And I will not judge it. I will not push it away. I will sit with it until it no longer controls me. Suppression may give you the illusion of control, but it is only postponement. The emotion will find another way to surface. In your health, in your words, in your relationships. The more you suppress, the heavier it becomes. Eventually, it bursts through in the form of breakdowns, sudden outbursts, emotional numbness, or deep fatigue. This is not control. This is internal chaos wearing the mask of strength. True control means facing the emotion at the moment it arises, not to obey it, not to react from it, but to understand it, to ask, what am I really feeling? What is this emotion trying to tell me? Is it rooted in the present or a wound from the past? Awareness requires slowing down. It requires honesty. Most people avoid their emotions because they fear what lies beneath. They fear that looking too closely might unravel something they are not ready to face. But what you do not face controls you. And awareness is not about being ready. It's about being willing. Willing to be present with what is. Willing to feel without judgment. Willing to hold space for your emotional self with the same care you would offer a close friend. This is where healing begins, and where real control is born. Not forced, but earned through presence. When you are aware, your relationship with emotion changes. Anger no longer has to explode. It can become a signal to set better boundaries. Sadness does not have to sink you. It can become a moment to reflect, to breathe, to let go. Fear does not have to paralyze. It can become a teacher guiding you toward growth. But this transformation only happens when you are willing to look emotion in the eye, acknowledge it, and choose your next move consciously. Without this awareness, you are at the mercy of reactions. With it, you become the author of your behavior. Control is not about being unshaken by life. It is about knowing that whatever rises within you, you will meet it with presence instead of panic. You will pause instead of suppress. You will observe instead of judge. This is not weakness. This is inner power. To remain whole while feeling deeply. To remain still while energy moves through you. To remain aware even when emotion wants to blur your vision. It is not the absence of emotion that makes you powerful. It is your relationship to it. And awareness is the key that shifts that relationship from fear to wisdom, from chaos to calm, from suppression to understanding. Your calm is your greatest form of power. In moments of tension, when emotions are running high, when others are shouting, accusing, provoking, or crumbling, the person who remains calm becomes the one in control, not just of themselves, but often of the entire situation. Calmness is not passivity. It is a deeply rooted strength. It is the energy of someone who has trained themselves to remain steady when everything around them shakes. It is the quiet force of someone who has learned not to give their power away to every emotion, every trigger, every challenge that appears in front of them. Staying calm does not mean you do not feel. It means you are not driven by impulse. It means you have created space between emotion and action. It means you have chosen clarity over chaos, and that choice builds inner authority. Calm people do not need to dominate others. They do not need to raise their voice or prove their point through aggression. Their presence speaks for them. Their restraint speaks louder than noise. Because calm energy is magnetic. People are drawn to it, even if they don't fully understand why. In a world that constantly demands reaction, calm becomes rare. And what is rare becomes powerful. Remaining calm is not a trait you are born with. It is a habit you build. It is built in silence, in reflection, in repeated moments where you choose to breathe instead of break. It is built through failure, through the lessons of past reactions, through the understanding that your peace is too valuable to hand over to temporary situations or unstable people. Calmness comes from knowing who you are and what matters. It comes from a place of self-trust. When you know your truth, You don't panic in the face of criticism. When you know your direction, you don't get thrown off by distractions. When you know your value, you don't lower yourself to meet the noise of those who do not see it. True calm is unshakable. Not because life becomes easier, but because your inner foundation becomes stronger. People may try to provoke you, to pull you into drama, to make you explain yourself. Defend yourself, fight for something that doesn't need fighting for. But when you are calm, you begin to recognize what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You begin to see how much of life is reaction. People reacting to their wounds, their fears, their pasts. And you learn not to absorb that into your own spirit. You learn to observe without absorbing, to walk away without guilt, to be silent without weakness. Calm is also what gives you clarity. In states of anger, panic, or desperation, the mind becomes cloudy. Choices made in those states are often filled with regret. But calm clears the fog. It allows you to see people as they are, situations as they are, without emotional distortion. You become more strategic, more compassionate, more aware. You see what others miss because you are not lost in noise. You feel what others overlook because your senses are not hijacked by urgency. This makes your decisions more aligned, your presence more impactful, your relationships more intentional. Calm is not indifference. It is not a lack of passion. It is a control of passion. It is knowing when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to hold silence, when to stand firm and when to let go. Calm gives you the power to lead yourself, and by extension, to lead others. Not through force, but through example. People feel safe around calmness. They feel seen, not judged, held, not controlled. Calm creates space for others to open up, to relax their own defenses, to mirror the same energy you carry. In this way, calmness becomes not just a personal strength, but a gift to others. A form of emotional leadership that requires no title, only presence. Stay warm-hearted, but remain unshakable. The world will test your kindness. It will try to make you hard. It will betray your openness, misunderstand your compassion, and exploit your generosity. But when you begin to close your heart just to avoid pain, you also close it to joy, to connection, to growth. The answer is not to become cold. The answer is to remain open but wise, to keep your heart warm, but protected by a core of strength that no one can shake. This is not an easy balance to hold. It takes emotional maturity to feel deeply and yet not lose your center. Being warm-hearted means you care, you listen, you empathize. You give love, not because the world always deserves it, but because it is who you are. But this warmth must not come at the cost of your peace. It must not make you forget your boundaries, your worth, or your inner strength. Some people mistake kindness for weakness. They see your patience and assume you can be pushed. They see your silence and assume you are afraid. But when you are warm-hearted and unshakable, your energy teaches others exactly who you are. Someone who feels everything, yet bows to nothing that disturbs your inner stability. Remaining unshakable does not mean you are untouched by life. It means that even when life touches you deeply, you return to your center. You don't let betrayal make you bitter. You don't let disappointment turn into despair. You don't let chaos shape your identity. Your heart remains soft, not because you have not been hurt, but because you have learned to heal without losing your nature. This is resilience. Not the kind that hardens you into a shell, but the kind that lets you bend and still rise. People who have been hurt often build walls, but the goal is not to build walls. It is to build filters. Walls shut everyone out. Filters allow you to receive what nourishes you and block what drains you. A warm-hearted person with no filter becomes a target for manipulation. A cold-hearted person with strong walls becomes isolated and disconnected. But a warm heart with wise filters becomes a force of healing, both for themselves and for others. They know how to give, and when to walk away without resentment. They know how to hold love and truth in the same breath, Staying warm-hearted in a cold world is not naivety. It is courage. It is the decision to not let the world's darkness dim your inner light. It is the strength to keep showing up with love, even when you receive nothing in return. It is the discipline to stay kind when your ego wants to strike back. But this does not mean allowing people to cross your lines. Being warm-hearted does not mean being available to disrespect. It means your love is sacred. Your time is sacred. Your energy is sacred. And not everyone qualifies to receive it. Being unshakable means you do not crumble under pressure. You don't need to raise your voice to assert your power. Your presence alone carries weight, because it is grounded in truth, in calmness, in values that don't bend with the wind. You become someone who can love without losing themselves, give without being emptied, and connect without becoming entangled. You are no longer shaken by praise or criticism. Your worth is not tied to how others treat you. Your warmth is not conditional. It is who you are, and your unshakable presence ensures it is never misused. This combination, a heart that feels and a mind that stands firm, is rare. But it is a kind of power that cannot be faked. It must be cultivated through experience, through pain, through growth. You learn where to give and where to retreat. You learn how to protect your peace without closing your heart. You learn how to care deeply without losing yourself in others. You become the calm in the storm, the flame that does not burn out, the soft voice that speaks truth without fear. You become someone who can love fiercely, stand firmly, and walk through the world with both compassion and courage. To live with an open heart in a world that often demands emotional detachment is a rare kind of strength. Becoming emotionless without losing your heart is not about suppressing what you feel. It is about mastering what you allow to control you. It is the practice of observing your emotions without becoming them, of choosing your response instead of reacting from pain, of remaining still when the world shakes around you. Your calm becomes your power. Your awareness becomes your shield. Your kindness, protected by inner strength, becomes your quiet form of rebellion. In a noisy world that rewards chaos, your ability to feel deeply, act wisely, and stay unshakable is the mark of true mastery.